I want people to have an idea of what is it that we're talking about here, because
Yeah.
you've experienced during those 3 years. You publicly said those were some of the you suffer a lot, right? This is not dissimilar to what some people may be listening right now going through COVID or job loss or relationship friction or whatever it may be.
Yeah. The thing that I find is so fascinating is that in a lot of ways, the human experience, as different as we all are, we're a lot more alike than we are different. We all have different trajectories and different ways of experiencing life, but so many of the same principles are consistent no matter who you are and no matter what experience you've been through. So whether it's physical paralysis or the loss of a loved one or whatever it is, there we are humans. At the end of the day, we're humans and we have a lot of very similar experiences. So the first time I really remember it was a week after my spinal cord injury happened. So this is the fall of 1999. And I had just finished leading a cycling trek across the US for 9 teenagers. And we finished that in August of 99. That was a 3,800-mile long trek. And I was an outdoor leader at the time. And like you said, snowboarder, skier, active outdoorsman, hiker. And one night I end up in the backseat of a car driven by a guy whom I had never met before. He was a friend of a friend. And we were going to a bar. And on the way to the bar, he lost control of his car on a dirt road, hit a tree. I broke my back, broke the T12 vertebra, had what's called a T12 complete spinal cord injury. So that meant that the injury, I had zero sensation or motor function from my injury down after that happened. So this happened at the level of right around my navel. So still today, 21 years later, it will actually be a week from now, it'll be my 21st anniversary since my injury happened. So still today, 21 years later, I have no sensation or motor function from the navel down. And when the accident itself happened, I maintained consciousness the whole time. I never lost consciousness because I didn't hit my head. And I remember being in a total state of shock because just like that, I'd gone from being able-bodied 24-year-old guy to suddenly being paralyzed and sitting in this back of this car just, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Like, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Like, in total shock. So ambulance comes, brings me to the hospital, and they do MRIs and CAT scans and stuff like that night. Next day, they do a surgery on me, and they put me on morphine, and for the pain of breaking your back. It's pretty severe pain. And so they put me on morphine, and then a week after, they took me off morphine. And I didn't realize that entire week I had been in a state of denial because it didn't even occur to me that my mindset was being so influenced by the morphine. I thought that I was doing okay, but I was just totally numb. And I became lucid for the first time since the night of the accident. And when I became lucid, I started freaking out. I don't want to be here. I do not want to be alive. There's no way I can go on like this. Absolutely no. Get me out. I'm done, done. I cannot live paralyzed for the rest of my life. And it was a real, I've told this story 1,000 times. If I'd had a sharp object around, I don't know if I would be here today. But I was lying in a hospital bed in the middle of the night, and there was nothing there, no tools, no implements to off myself. And the only thing I could think to do was yoga. I kept on thinking I wanted to do yoga for some reason. And I'm like, how am I going to do yoga? Why am I even thinking that thought? And then it occurred to me that the most powerful part of yoga is the focus on the breath. And it occurred to me that I could still breathe. So I just started to breathe deeply, as deeply as I could. And a few minutes went by, and suddenly, out of nowhere, just like this, boom, nothing that was previously bothering me was bothering me anymore. Suddenly, I had passed through a threshold of consciousness. And on the one side of that threshold was everything I ever thought that I knew about myself and my identity, my relationship with my body, my name, my interests, where I was born, all the stuff, all the content of my mind was on one side of that threshold. And I went to the other side and experienced myself as pure awareness. And I saw myself almost essentially was an out of body experience. I became so connected to my breath that I no longer could feel the inhale or the exhale anymore.
Mm,
I just became breath,
mm,
and I just dissolved completely into breath. I was breath. I wasn't body, I was breath. I wasn't body and I wasn't mind. Those were clearly the denser forms of the material.
mm,
And I had transcended the denser forms of the material and had become immaterial awareness.
mm,
And what I realized is that we are all immaterial awareness, that
mm,
there is nothing material about us other than the way that our minds shape our experience of life in the three-dimensional world that we live in. And when that happened, it was totally profound. And it changed me forever.